The combat in Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is a bit unorthodox. In a good way though. I was really pleasantly surprised by it when I tried it out, and I wanted to discuss it a bit. At a surface level, it enables a tantalizing amount of creativity and personal expression, as you can tailor the classes you play, the combos you do, and the spells you cast to suit your individual preferences. But what I want to talk about here is the treasure that the combat of this game holds on a slightly deeper level. Approaching it with the same mindset you have as when playing other action games such as Neo, which is made by the same developers, or Elden Ring and the other Soulsborne boys is doable, but you would be missing out on the unique intricacies and nuances of the Stranger of Paradise combat system that allow you to demolish enemies and bosses quicker, more stylishly, and in a way that I found to be more fun. There's an interplay of mechanics that creates an extremely engaging dynamic, and it all revolves around managing the break gauges and your mana. Soul Shield, where you hold this red sphere in front of you to block attacks, is the mechanic that separates this game from all the others. It's the foundation that the depth of this game sits upon, or underneath technically, I guess. Soul shielding is a way of defending and in the process strengthening yourself, with the added option of countering with a lunge attack if you so choose. Soul shielding depletes your break gauge though, so if you soul shield too much, the timing on soul shields will become incredibly strict, and one mistake will break you, which will likely lead into a combo that ends in your death. You can manage your break gauge and therefore your risk by utilizing your other defensive options. For example, you might choose to dodge out of an enemy's barrage instead of continuously soul shielding every hit. Also, you can't block attacks that have a red flash in any capacity. You gotta dodge those. The less break gauge you have, the greater the risk you carry. If you're very conservative with your break gauge and keep it high, you can even regular guard instead of dodging, meaning you won't have to worry about timing evades. Basically, you can adjust your playstyle depending on how confident you are, how much risk you're willing to carry in return for faster kill times. If you soul shield less often, you won't have to worry about your break gauge as much, but you'll also be losing out on a lot of mana gain and therefore DPS. If you soul shield more often, you'll have a very healthy supply of mana and damage, but will get broken in a single hit, which is likely going to happen due to the precise timing required by an empty break gauge soul shield. Getting aggressive also prevents the enemy's break gauge from recovering. Then there's Lightbringer, which is a way for you to spend the mana you've stored up from all those soul shields. Lightbringer costs 2 bars of mana and decreases the amount of max mana you have, but you can get all of that back by soul shielding and soul bursting enemies. Additionally, once you've activated Lightbringer mode, you can more easily break enemies and are granted access to way more cost-efficient soul shields. At least until Lightbringer mode's time runs out. This means you can chain break groups of enemies, as Soul Burst executing foes causes nearby enemies to take break damage. You can also really go in on bosses with your virtually costless Soul Shield and break damage increase. In other words, general good Soul Shield use will grant you the resources to use Lightbringer mode more often, which will in turn allow you to demolish anything in your path. Soul Shield creates this really pleasant game of give and take, of push and pull, especially against the bosses. Soul Shield counterattack, Soul Shield counterattack, dodge. It's like I'm exchanging blows against these big bads, and I adore that feeling. One bizarre thing I'll mention though is that your average equipment level has a noticeable effect on how easily you can break enemies, meaning you might have to update your gear as you pick up stuff in the field, or at least check your equipment before bosses or at rest cubes. There is an optimize button so that you don't have to tediously change each item on your body. The game will try to automatically select the best gear possible. Just pointing this out because I noticed a massive difference on the first real level of the game between a run where I kept my loadout updated with stuff I found during the mission and a run where I kept my default equipment. Maybe it matters less later in the game, I don't know yet, but having underleveled gear here made breaking the boss impossible. I had to just deplete its health, whereas normally the enemy break gauge is exhausted before health. I know that probably sounds obvious, but I'm just trying to say equipment level has a bigger effect than you might think. All in all, I had a ton of fun learning how Stranger Stranger of Paradise's combat works at a basic level. There's a constant charging and discharging of meters and management of mechanics happening beneath the spectacle of smashing and thrashing that I found enthralling. I really wanted to talk about the combat because I was pleasantly surprised and excited at how much I enjoyed it right away. Of course, you can play the game however you want and on whatever difficulty you want. It's just that for me, getting deep into the weeds of the mechanics is what I love doing. Can't wait to play further and discover what more the extravagant battle system has in store. There's even cool stuff involving elemental and attack type weaknesses, like how you can destroy this boss's sword with the right element. The game actually has me as excited to destroy chaos as the main character Jack, but probably for different reasons.